So there's this great quote I want to read to you before we begin. And it says, sometimes the hardest part of being a great catch is accepting not everyone's hands are strong enough to hold you. Now, I know some of you feel that, if not all of you. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter how wonderful and amazing you are. There's a lot of people out there who just are not emotionally ready or mature enough to handle a serious, healthy relationship. And so that leads a lot of women, and it might be you, to experiencing uh, frustrating situations where a man essentially starts to move things along in a serious direction, only to pull back and say he's not ready for this. He can't do a relationship right now, things of that nature. And so the question becomes, why would he start something he was not ready for? Why would he bother coming in your life and stirring all these emotions up in you when he is not prepared to proceed forward into something serious? So I want to bring clarity to that question because I get it all the time, right? So I figured, all right, let me make a video. I think somebody actually specifically asked me to make a video on this. Either way, let's get to it. Why would a man start something he's not ready for? And one of the big common reasons, that's sad to say, but it's just true, is there's a lot of men looking for help, not love. Okay. So we, I don't even know if it's just based off of our time. I'm not going to say it's our time, but we do live in a time where you got a lot of men who are not doing well, are not establishing themselves properly, while at the same time you have a lot of women who are doing things for themselves and got things going on, right? And these men, in the search for stability, in the search for someone who's going to give them a boost, so to speak, they're seeking out a woman who is going to pour resources into them, or who has resources available for them to take, plain and simple. Now, I'm not saying every man who's looking for help has a very malicious intent, so to speak. His mind may not always be, I'm looking for someone I can use and take advantage of, but there is that. There is that out there, all right? And there are guys that, because of that, are going to start relationships because they figure this is what I have to do to get in good with this woman so that I may have a place to stay, so that I may have a car to drive, so that I may have someone who can provide me some food and things of that nature, or who can help me get on my feet, so on and so forth. But because they're looking for help, not love, if things get too serious, all are not prepared to keep things going. Now, there will be some who will take it as far as possible. There are men who were looking for help and married the woman who helped them, right? And is still leaning on that woman. And in some cases, when they finally get themselves to the top that they want to get to, they will then remove that woman and replace her with somebody else. And then you have others who, they may hold on to that number one because she's always been there for him and she's loyal and things of that nature. But he's out there doing his own thing now. He's stepping out because he's feeling himself. And it's a different world now he's living in, because now he can look for getting what he wants, enjoying what he wants, since he has his home base taken care of. We'll leave that one for a different discussion. The point I'm driving home here is, yes, that seeking out of help will cause some of these men to create dynamics that make the woman feel like this is more than it actually is. Because let's face it, if that man is trying to use you, um, or needs you to help him, well, trying to be casual with you and being straightforward about that isn't going to get him those things. Telling you that he's just here for temporary fulfillment to handle some business is not going to get him those things. He knows his best route to being able to pull all the resources out of you possible is to make you feel like he is truly into you. This is why, or this is one of the reasons why I'm always encouraging and pushing y'all to talk to God, to listen to your intuition. Because listen, no matter how many tips I give you, no matter how much guidance I give you or anyone gives you, right? There are gonna be some men who, yes, are great actors. Now, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't think any of them are so good that you're not picking up on something. Okay. I believe that women, when I sit down with women in I have yet to experience a situation where when we really dug deep, the woman was not able to admit that there wasn't some kind of red flag she saw or even her intuition telling her this wasn't it, right? But for various reasons, a woman may rationalize past that. She may convince herself, you know what, maybe I'm tripping. This is, I'm only, I'm listening to myself in my head. Let me give this guy a chance, whatever the case may be. Either way, yes, he makes it harder because he understands certain actions that can make you get all in your feelings and cause you to overlook the fact that he's asking for $1,000. I'm just giving an example, okay? Or that he's overly using your card, that he's running up your credit card, whatever the case may be. And there's various levels to the help that the man takes. So everyone's situation is not going to look the same. But that's why you have to learn how to evaluate the situations as best as possible, listen to your intuition, talk to God, but understand that, yes, this is one of the motivations or contributing factors that leads to these situations. And also, I'll say this before I move on to the next point. This is one of the reasons why I'm a believer in a woman not getting with a man who hasn't established stability in his life. Because yes, the idea of helping each other is going to happen in a real healthy relationship. And there have been women who have successfully gotten with a man who needed a little bit of help, but it was a real situation. But I always say when it worked out, it was because one, there was an actual connection there. There was something real that already existed there. And two, he had that work ethic, that desire to be better already in him, and her love and support simply magnified that and made it easier for it to blossom, so to speak. But for every situation of success, I got 1,000 more of disasters. All right. So you got to be mindful of that and understand why some guys take the route that they do. All right. So another reason why a man will start something he's not ready for is because he let loneliness or horniness get the best of him. All right. So if let's just keep it real for a second. I don't care who you are, man or woman. A lot of people in moments of feeling lonely or horny have allowed their judgment to be skewed, have allowed themselves to maybe engage in things that they shouldn't have or wasn't best for them, trying to satisfy that need. Now, that doesn't make it right or okay or whatever. We're just being real that this happens. This happens on both sides. But with that said, with a lot of men, consider the fact that a lot of men aren't thinking far ahead. They're not considering, okay, if I react off of this loneliness or horniness and I go engage with this woman, what could that potentially lead to? Is that going to put her in a difficult position? They're not thinking about all that in many of these cases, right? They're just reacting in the moment to how they're feeling and feeling like, man, I need somebody I can lean on to have those needs met. And so in that, they start to engage with that woman. And again, for some men, they're putting on a certain act because of what they're trying to get. And I'm going to speak a little bit more on that a little bit later. But let's also consider that there are some men who they're just naturally, and this is going to sound strange, but I'll explain. They're naturally good guys. Now, here's what I mean by that. Because I know some of you are saying, well, if he was good, he wouldn't lead a woman on. He wouldn't start something that he wasn't prepared to finish. Okay, I'm not disagreeing with that point. When I say he's a good guy, what I mean is that when he engages with a woman, even if he's not serious about her, he still would treat her respectfully. He's still gonna be nice. He might still act like a gentleman, open doors, things like that, right? Things that can make some women feel like, oh, he must really like me. Oh, he must be serious about me. But in reality, that's just the type of guy he is. All right, in general, to any woman that he's dealing with. So in him trying to satisfy his loneliness or horniness, he's thinking to himself, oh, okay, maybe she's okay with this casual situation, so no harm, no foul. And me treating her nicely is just me being a nice guy to her. He's not even processing that this is going to make her feelings get caught up. This is going to cause her to feel like this is something more here. Now, I have to say this. Sometimes this all gets twisted up because the woman in the situation isn't being forthcoming about what she really wants and is looking for. So you'll have these situations where the woman acts like she is okay with going with the flow. She is okay with, we don't need to do anything serious right now, or whatever the case may be. But again, still allows herself to get confused and caught up by his nice actions. All right. But all of it stems from this whole thing started because he was lonely or horny. And he simply wanted to satisfy that. And so, again, you'll have some who may be more forthcoming about not wanting something more, but their actions confuse you. You'll have others who um, are not being very clear about what their intentions are. And of course, that creates a bigger mess. But it all starts from that. Now, let me say this, even though he may be, again, nice guy in the sense of he still treats you a certain kind of way, I think it's important to, this is why you have to, one, discuss intentions and have to be honest about your own. Because if even that guy who's just trying to satisfy those needs, if you're clear with him that, yo, I want something real, I want something serious, you will weed some of those guys out. Again, will it mean everyone will fall off? No. But there are plenty of men who will, that you being that forthcoming will be their moment of clarity that says, you know what? All right, this ain't the one to do it with because she's looking for something more and I don't want this to get messy. Some of them have enough awareness that if you say it outright, they won't proceed. So you've got to make sure you're protecting yourself in that way by being clear and transparent in these situations. But yes, simple loneliness and horniness gets the best of a lot of people, and it is what starts these situations that eventually can't proceed into anything more. All right, so let's keep this going. And another reason why a man uh, starts things he can't finish is because he just needed to be, he felt he had to be extra to get what he wanted. All right. So, what am I saying here? So, this is kind of piggybacking off the last point where you'll have these men, they're just letting horniness or loneliness get the best of them. And in that, look for women they can date to have those needs satisfied. But unfortunately, some men, whether due to their own preconceived notions or due to what you've expressed to them, feel like they have to go over the top or be extra or be boyfriend ish, right? In order to get you to sleep with them, and not just sleep with them, but consistently sleep with them. Because understand, not every not every one of these men's goals is simply a one-time deal and then they're out, right? Of course that happens, but there are some situations where they're looking for something consistent, and they know that in order for it to be consistent, they have to make you feel a certain kind of way, right? Or at least they feel that they have to do that in order to achieve that. And so, again, let's be clear. This is not saying it's okay and it should be acceptable. I'm explaining to you this is what happens. And this is why these men behave in the way that they do. But here's something to remember to help you navigate this. Even the man who's willing to do extra just to get you in bed or whatever the case may be, typically is not trying to fulfill all of your needs and requirements. In the majority of cases, he's trying to do as little as possible to get as much as possible. So, even though he's willing to do certain things, if you lay out to him, this is again bringing up the transparency and communication. If you lay out for him, listen, this is what I need from a man if we're going to proceed to something serious. So, one, even having the discussion of desiring something serious, and then explaining what you're looking for. Because now it's so much easier to expose him if you've laid out to him what is expected of him. Okay? Because if he's unwilling to meet those expectations, well, then it's easier for us to say, oh, he's just not serious, right? Because now to him, it might be, okay, this is too much work. For the man who wants to be with you, he'll be more willing to embrace your list of things that you need. But for the man who's just looking to, again, have his needs met, it's like, okay, I'll go to someone else who's going to require less of me. So this is why you have to have these conversations. But let me also say this in regards to the man who will do extra just to get what he wanted. Okay. This is also why you have to be mindful of why you allow yourself to sleep with the man in the first place. Okay. Because outside of, again, I always mention, ideally the goal is wait till marriage, but realistically, most people don't make it that far. And this is not, we don't judge here. Many of us have slipped up. It is what it is, right? But one of the things I tell women is if you're not going to wait, you have to at least make sure that when you do allow yourself to sleep with a man, you are truly comfortable with whatever happens next. All right. Meaning, if you're allowing yourself to sleep with him because you think it will progress into something more, or because you do think he is into you, even though you guys have no official relationship and nothing specifically established, that's the wrong reason. That's one of the wrong reasons to do it. Because now, if you sleep with him and it doesn't turn into those things, you will feel even more cheated, more used, more regretful. It's just a messier situation. You want to make sure that if you do it, because as a grown woman, you chose, that's what you wanted, that's what you felt like you wanted to engage in at that moment, that is your choice. But at least that way, if it doesn't work out, you can say, okay, I did what I wanted, not what I thought I needed to do to get this man, and then I didn't get him. You see what I'm saying? So be very mindful of that and do not cross that line if you are not truly comfortable and at peace with doing it, because it will only backfire on you. All right, so we got a couple more to go. And another reason why a man starts something he's not ready for is because he never thought it would even go this far. All right. So, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who, in their head, they're dating casually, though that may not be properly communicated to the other person. All right. And in their head, they've already determined, oh, this is just for fun. This isn't going to go anywhere. We're just cool. And there's some cases where that's what both parties are communicating, right? So you can essentially have a situation where, let's say, two people agree to be friends with benefits. And so both of them are saying, all right, this is just temporary. We're just enjoying each other. That's it. But then things change sometimes. One, maybe even both parties start to catch some feelings, right? Start to grow some attachments to each other. And now that that is happening, and at least one person is expressing a desire for more and want to take things to the next level, he's like, yo, I'm not ready for this. That's not, because I never came into this prepared for that. I never came into this thinking that would be the next step. I just thought we would stay in this very comfortable place of being casual. Okay. And again, that can become confusing and hurtful when the actions that were displayed in the process made you feel as a woman that there was more here, or that he would be open to or even want more with you. But now that you guys are discussing it, he's pumping the brakes and it's like, nah, we can't move forward. And that's one of the huge reasons why I tell you these situationships and friends with benefits and all that, it's a dangerous game. You're playing with fire. You're playing with fire because when you really study them, in many cases, at least one person starts to get caught up, starts to catch feelings, get attached, whatever the case may be, and things can get really messy. You've got to be real with yourself about what you can handle, okay? And not allow yourself to cross lines that now you're going to have a hard time pulling yourself back from. And that's why I think it's important that you understand your own boundaries for yourself. Like you understand, okay, for some of you, that boundary may be sex. Like you may know if you have sex with someone, you get very attached. All right. And listen, this is about you, not someone else, because there might be another woman out there who says, yo, that's not my problem. That she feels she can have it and not get attached to a guy if she knows what she's getting herself into. That's on her. It's for you. What's your thing though? And if your thing is you get caught up, all right, that's one of your boundaries. If you know, just for example, if you know meeting his family, right, under any circumstances is going to cause an attachment, then that's a line we don't cross until we know this is actually going to be something serious and real. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but this all again boils down to communication. You gotta communicate, you gotta be transparent. But again, start with yourself. Be real with yourself about what you can and cannot handle. So either way, not thinking it was gonna go that far is definitely a common occurrence in why these men will start something they're not ready for. All right. So this is a big one, and this is important for me to discuss. Another reason why a man will start something he's not ready for is because there was a connection and it scared the hell out of him. All right. So what am I talking about here? If you've been watching any of my previous videos, you know I'm a big believer in connection. I believe connection is something that happens on a spiritual level. It's like one person's spirit recognizing its match, or both parties recognizing its match. Um, it's a very unique experience. It's a very rare experience. Um, it's a very exposing experience, I have to say, because it really it causes you to be emotionally naked, for you to truly you see each other at each other's core, and it's a very beautiful thing. However, despite its beauty, despite how powerful it is, it can be downright terrifying. Okay. And the reason why it can be so terrifying is because it makes you so vulnerable. And if you have experienced hurt and disappointment in your life before, well, that can cause you to become very fearful of walking or proceeding into this very vulnerable place with somebody. Whereas someone who has not been hurt before, or who is not carrying that trauma with them, because some people are hurt, but they actually heal, they move on, they release it, right? That person will have a very different view. They won't be scared. They will be more excited. They'll be prepared to move forward. But unfortunately, when these connections happen, one or both parties usually get scared, bottom line. So to paint the picture more, you have this guy, he's starting to date you. Let's just say it wasn't someone looking for something casual. He was looking for a relationship, right? And he thought you were a great girl. He figured you have potential. Let me see what's going on with her. He's starting to date you. He likes you, but then you guys experience this intense, amazing connection, and it has him wide open. Because understand this: for anyone who's experienced a connection, um, like it will have you so much more emotionally invested than you've ever been, and for many it will cause you to feel like you're not in emotional control anymore. See, one of the things that people tend to do once they've been hurt is they try to learn how to manage their emotions and keep control of it to never be as vulnerable again. right? But when they're dealing with someone they have a connection with, it becomes extremely difficult to continue to do that. It's hard to keep your wall up and not allow yourself to just fall so deep into this situation, which then hence creates the fear and the terror, okay, that some people experience, unfortunately. So this guy, he's meeting you, everything's going great. He has this connection, and it's like, whoa, this is too much. And I don't know if I can handle this. And so now if you as a woman are not the one who's projecting fear and is prepared to move forward, well, this can become a very frustrating, hurtful experience. And it could cause some of you to even question, does this man even care about me, love me, even though you know you're experiencing this intense thing? Because the connection is a two-way thing. It's not this one person is feeling it and the other person isn't. No, when it's real, it's both people are feeling it. Okay. But both people aren't always prepared to fully embrace it, unfortunately. And so, yes, this can cause a man to pull back because he may have been prepared to be with someone in a relationship with him being able to maintain that emotional control, but this level is something else that he just does not know how to navigate. And so it can cause many to pull back. And this happens to both sides. I've seen this happen with men. I've seen this happen with women. You name it. I've seen this happen at the same time with both sides. You name it, it happens. Either way, that is one of the reasons. That is definitely one of the reasons. And what's important for you to understand is that you can only control yourself. You can't make someone not be afraid. Here's one of the wildest things about that dynamic that I've learned. And if I'm being real, I have to say I see this example even more when it's the woman who's afraid. So let's just flip it for a second. And woman and man experience a connection. Woman is terrified. And the man thinks, okay, if I just love her more, that will pull her out of this scared place. But loving her more actually scares her more. It's almost like this guy's too good to be true. He's too perfect. Something's going on. He must be setting me up for like this can't be real. Like it makes it even harder to grasp. She would actually feel more comfortable finding a flaw, but then unfortunately finding that flaw may give her ammunition to walk away so she doesn't have to deal with the reality of the situation. Okay. And so flipping it back, yes, that can happen that way too. All right. Where what you got to recognize that they're going to have to go on their own journey of healing to be able to embrace what's in front of them. And all you can do is focus on doing what you need to do in your life. It sucks. I get it. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you cannot sit and wait and hope and push and pull. That doesn't typically do it. You have to just accept, all right, this is what it is. This them being unable to embrace it does not mean they do not love you. It just means they have something they need to address first. And this is why I'm always telling y'all to go heal, even while you're single, because unfortunately, if you wait till you meet someone, you may not realize how impactful those unresolved traumas are, and it can derail that situation when it comes. But if you would do your healing while you're still even single and preparing, or even out there dating, whatever, then when that person comes, you can actually be ready to fully embrace it. So focus, if you haven't, make sure you heal. Even if you are the person who is prepared and willing to embrace the connection, that does not necessarily mean there aren't some things for you to still clean up and heal from. So never neglect the need to go on the healing journey and do what you need to do, but also lean on God, because this is a very difficult situation to navigate, and you're going to need to lean on God's guidance on how you need to proceed. And again, just trust that if it can't work out right now, because sometimes it's just a timing thing, give it to God, and trust whatever is best for you will still be able to occur. All right, so I got one bonus for you, and I'm not gonna lie to you, you may not like this bonus. All right, you might want to throw your shoe at me after you hear this bonus, but I have to put it out there. So one of the other reasons why a man starts something he's not ready for is because, unfortunately, you may have switched up on him. So what do I mean here? Um, there's a reality that we have to face. A lot of women are dating and putting forth their representative. Now, I know that many of you may view that as that's what men are doing. And yes, there are tons of men doing that. But a lot of women are not truly being their full, authentic self while in the initial phases of the dating process. All right. And maybe acting a certain way because they think that's what's going to work, or maybe are hiding behind certain walls and therefore not truly projecting their true self, or walking in it. Whatever the case may be, sometimes that guy ends up embracing the representative. He likes that person, and things are moving along well based off of that. But as I always say, you can only suppress your true self for so long. It's going to come out at some point. And so now, when the true self starts to come out, and sometimes that true self has some unhealthy habits, right? Or it's just a different version of you that he did not fully understand and know about initially. And now, when he sees that, he's like, I got to pump the brakes. I'm not sure I want to move forward here. I don't know if I'm ready for a relationship, right? But it's really because who you are now, or what he's learning about you now, conflicts with what he thought he was getting himself into. So I say that to say, you got to make sure you're being you from the jump, right? The goal is not to figure out how to really impress a man, it's to figure out how to be the woman that God created you to be, and receive the man who embraces that and is in alignment with that. Okay? Because if he does not love or enjoy your true self, it's never going to work in the long run. It's pointless to win him over putting on an act, or being a character that you're just not and can't sustain. So you have to make sure that whatever you are presenting and engaging in, it's the version of you that you can sustain over the long run. Now, of course, granted, as we get older, as life, we experience more life, things may adjust, change a little bit here and there. But I do believe that when the changes are significant, it's because we have not come into our own yet. But when we truly take time to make sure we know who we are, we love who we are, and we walk in that, there's less of a chance of a swing in our character that can cause a huge negative impact on a potential relationship, or on a relationship, or even on a marriage. So again, be you, and make sure that's the woman that he wants to move forward with. Thank you for watching this video. I pray it was helpful to you. Be sure to watch this one over here on the 14 secret ways to make a man worry about losing you. He doesn't want to be out and about when he can be relaxed next to the woman that makes him feel good. So learning how to speak love and positivity into that man, learning how when you guys